Welcome to Coffee in the Barn, where every cup tells a story. With a rotating lineup of hosts, we invite you to join us as we explore the diverse challenges and triumphs of modern life and the heart of agriculture. From the fields to the classroom, from innovators to everyday visionaries, each episode brings a fresh perspective and a new voice. So brew yourself a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's uncover the stories that shape our lives, our farms, and our communities. Well, it's really great to catch back up with you, Yuan. I know we talked at Midwest Animal Science, but we thought we'd get on here and do a formal interview. But before we get started, could you introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about your background and your role at Devenish?
No problem, Casey. Well, it's great to be here. My name is Wan-Tai Hong. Sometimes people call me Yuan. Sometimes people call me Wan. My first name will be Wan-Tai, and it's very easy to remember my name because I'm originally from Taiwan. So, what I did my all undergrad and MSc in Taiwan, and in 2021. I graduated with my PhD degree from the University of Minnesota under guidance of Drs. Jerry Sherson, Pedro Uriola, and Malena Salki-Salces. So where I get my all applied swine nutrition training, as well as my basic research in digestive physiology. And after school in 2021, I joined Devenish, which is specialized providing all high quality nutritional technology. My role in Devenish as their Swine Research Manager, and currently focusing on all the swine research project as well as to support technical team as well as customers' requests.
Well, great. Well, now I have two friends from Taiwan. I did not realize you were from Taiwan. So you're my YT, and of course I have TC at the University of Arkansas. So
Yeah,
that's how I'll remember it, because I call TC by his initials.
correct. And sometimes my wife also call me my initial YTH. YTH.
That's cool. So your paper, I think, was probably one of the most unique papers at Midwest Animal Science. It's not a new technology, but emulsification or emulsifiers is not really something the swine industry has really evaluated or looked in compared to ruminants and other species. Can you tell us what an emulsifier is and the goal of utilizing these in nutrition?
Correct. I mean, emulsifier is not a new technology, but in terms of technology, I think the key is to find a way to implement it and to see a measurable response. And the one emulsifier that we present at the Midwest meeting is lysophospholipids. And remember, it's lysophospholipids with S. That means it's multiple different lysophospholipids in the product. And that consists of 4 different main lysophospholipids. Each one have their unique emulsification property. And the main reason we evaluate the emulsifier that we call dynamic NA is because in the field we observe when animals consuming reduced energy diet, typically we observe a reduced performance. And not all the farm or the feed mill have the capability to add additional oil in the diets. And not all the feed mill has access to a high quality fat source. And it all depends on the current fat to corn price ratio. I believe right now still greater than 3. So indicating it's not ideal or not justified to using fat into the diet. So our thought process to see how, as an industry partner, how we can support animal performance from nutritional perspective. And that's the main reason we want to evaluate these technology to find a new way to utilize it.
How does LPLs work in metabolism and digestion?
So there are different ways to explain it. I think the lipid digestion start with the emulsification, hydrolysis, and absorption. And we know the ability of lipids being able to miscible in the aqueous environment of the GI tract is a limiting factor or a key determinant for the lipids being able to digest because we have to consider all the digestive enzyme has to be able to attach to the lipid droplets and consider lipids are water insoluble that requires an extra step, which is the emulsification. And emulsification is the process of breaking down large lipids into a smaller one, first increasing the surface area, and the second increase the ability to be visible in the aqueous environment. And that's one of the main reasons emulsification can can support the fat digestion. And there's other research from the human side, emulsification improving lipolysis activity, increasing the fat digestion by measuring triacylglyceride concentration in the blood. And that's kind of like confirm what we observed in the animal trial.
And that's why emulsification is nothing new. The animal kind of somewhat does it naturally. But if we look at the shampoos, the soaps we use, different salad dressings that we like, we have to do emulsification to get those products to be usable.
Correct. Like we rely on emulsification all for all day activity. I mean, when we do laundry, when we do dishes, it's all emulsification, right? Like improving those um, polar and non-polar interactions and being able to do all the chemical reactions.
So, can you walk us through your trial a little bit, go through the materials and methods?
Yes. So to be able to find the right way to utilize this emulsifier, in total we run two nursery trials. So the first trial that we just to see whether emulsifier can provide some benefit. So in that trial we have our standard fat control diets, and then we have our emulsifier treatment in a reduced energy diet situation. The energy differences in the phase one, that's about close to 150 kcal per kilogram ME. Phase two is about 100 kcal differences. And in order to mimic what we observe in the field, we formulate based on our high fiber nursery base. That is our one of our technology specialized to support the wing pigs with entry challenge. So we increase all the functional fiber with other technology, and we're using that base to formulate our reduced energy diets as well as our fat control. And in the first trial, we see some preliminary data to support yes, emulsifier can help animals to um, improve or maintain the gain response even they're on a reduced energy diet. And I know all the experienced nutritionists will question me that there's no pure negative control. So then we run a second nursery trial. Then in this trial we include a real negative control. So we have our positive control that's also contain standard fat diets in both phase. First phase is about 3%, and the second phase about 2%. And in the base, we have about 1%. So total, you can consider in the phase one, total will be 4% fat, and phase two will be 2%. Then we have our pure negative control, which is exclude all the fat component. And in the phase one, we just rely on 1% coming from our high fiber nursery base. Then we're using this pure negative control to add emulsifier either at 1.5 pound per ton inclusion rate or 3 pounds per ton inclusion rate. So total will be 4 dietary treatments. And each treatment we have 15 replicates, and each replicate we house 18 pigs per pen. So in total, this trial is more than 1,000 pigs on the trial. Then we run almost the second trial we run like about 36 days that we finish all our feed budget. And in the second trial, we observe a very similar response compared to the first one, but then we also be able to observe the growth reduction in animal consume a reduced energy diet without supplemental lipids and emulsifier supplementations. And then with the emulsifier supplementation, we observe, of course, a similar gain response compared to our standard fat control, as well as a better response compared to a reduced energy diet. So these confirm what we observed in the study one. It's not just one-time success. We consistently see an improvement. And we also do an economic assessment because I think at the end of the day, we still need to know whether it pays to feed oil or reduce energy diet, but with emulsifier supplementation. So we take growth performance into considerations, and we know every pound coming from the nursery phase equals to 2 pounds in the marketing picks. So we take the overall gain response into consideration in our dietary costs. We observe a significant difference in income over feed costs, like pigs consume a reduced energy diet with our sales price using our emulsifier, bring up almost, I think, more than $1 per pigs compared to both positive and negative control. So that kind of like indicate that using emulsifier in a reduced energy diet provide a measurable improvement. And that's the main experimental design and the positive response we observe.
Now, you're also researching other phases of production as well using emulsification, correct?
Correct. We have a trial using the same technology emulsifier in a different scenario. So we have run in the finisher pigs. We run in our Mexico research facility. In that case, we are using emulsifier on top of the control diet. So the control diet will be considered standard fat diets in Mexico. When we talk to our nutritionists in Mexico, they typically using 2% fat. So in our trial, we run adding emulsifier on top of the control diet, and we still observe an improvement in gain as well as improvement in feed efficiency. And that also telling us that using emulsifier in a different application, you can either using in a reduced energy diet or in your typical standard diet and to observe feed efficiency response. So that is our growth finisher trial. The other part we also observe is when we using emulsifier in a reduced energy diet during the growth finish phase, we observe a numerically lower morbidity and morbidity. And our explanation is when pigs are on a reduced energy diet during the limiting space, and they may have increasing those more competition, and that result in more morbidity and mortality. So when we using this response to calculate, we can also observe some positive income over feed cost during the growth finish phase as well.
Well, incredible. Besides your presentation, what do you have a special paper or abstract that you enjoyed the most, or any research data that stood out to you besides what you presented?
Besides what I present, well, I think the protein digestion kinetics is what I really enjoy during the Midwest meeting. I know this is also not a new topic, but I think we, as an industry or nutritionists, we start paying more attention on how to synchronize protein digestion kinetic as well as those carbohydrate digestion kinetic to facilitate the growth of young animals. Because from Dr. Mike Tokash's presentation, we know the improvements that we observe over the 35 years. Nursery versus the grow-finished pigs, we still have a lot need to do to improve the post-weaning, especially post-weaning intake and post-weaning gain. And I think how we can synchronize those protein digestion and carbohydrates and energy supply is the main factor to support all the post-weaning growth performance. So that's one I really enjoy.
Well, thank you. I really enjoyed your presentation, so I wanted to make sure that we shared it to the audience because 20 years ago or so, I became interested in it and looking at some of the stuff cattle was doing and different things of how we could incorporate similar technologies into swine diets. So I really appreciate you taking the time after the meetings to catch up with me and our audience and sharing your data here on Coffee in the Barn.
No problem. It's my pleasure to share what we have learned into the audience too.